How to stop using food to address other needs. Emotional eating is such a huge struggle for so many people, and so many people will turn to food to address all of their needs instead of doing different things to address specific needs. And while it's no problem to use food to cope once in a while, the issue is when you start to use food by default as a way to deal with those emotions. So first, let's talk about why food is such a widespread coping tool. The thing with food is that using it to deal with a certain type of emotion is, first of all, pretty accessible, and second of all, extremely gratifying. You can use food for basically anything from like comfort to reward, control to distraction to soothing loneliness or boredom or anxiety. And so when you feel one of these uncomfortable emotions and then you eat food in order to feel better, your brain is going to release a neurotransmitter called dopamine, which is going to make you feel instantly happy. And then over time, this creates this kind of loop where you feel a negative emotion and then you use food to deal with that, and then you immediately feel good. It triggers the release of dopamine, and so this pathway becomes completely automatic in your brain. It's like when you feel an emotion, you're not even gonna think about ways to cope with it. You're automatically gonna go to that pathway and eat the food, and then so that you feel better. And then the more you do that behavior, the stronger this pathway becomes, and the harder it is to actually do other things than eat the food. So what you need to work on is breaking these pathways, which is very hard. And to help you do that, you also need to create new ones. Because again, while there's nothing wrong inherently with eating food to soothe emotions, it's going to be very temporary, but it's not going to fix or like address the root cause. And oftentimes it can lead to you feeling even worse after, because you know that the food wasn't what you actually needed, and then now you feel guilty for eating food that you didn't necessarily need. But before we get into any of this, the first and most important step is that you need to be having healthy, balanced meals regularly, around 3 times a day. You need to make sure that these meals are satisfying, that you are enjoying them, that they are fueling you, because if you do not do that, it is impossible to detach yourself from emotional eating. Because if you're starving, you're not going to be able to make the healthiest, best choices when it comes to the foods you should be eating or not, or the things you should be doing to cope with your emotions. So first, start off with that, and if you need help with that, check out my video I have on healthy eating for beginners right here or in the description. So now here's how to stop using foods to deal with your core needs. And the first step to do that is to actually assess those needs. So take a moment, grab a piece of paper, and you're going to rate yourself from 1 to 10 on the different categories I am about to say. So first, when it comes to stress levels, do you feel like you are managing your stress effectively? In which case, give yourself a 10 or close to 10. Or do you feel like you constantly feel overwhelmed with stress? Give yourself a 1. When it comes to happiness, do you feel like you're generally content with the way things are in your life? 10. Or do you feel like a lot of things are not going well? 1. When it comes to fun, do you feel like you are regularly experiencing activities that make you feel joyful and happy? Again, rate yourself high, and then if not, rate yourself low. I think you're starting to get the idea. Do this with relationships as well. Do you feel like you have a lot of relationships that are positive and nurturing and quality relationships, meaningful connections with others? Or are you feeling isolated and disconnected from others? When it comes to pleasure, are you finding pleasure and enjoyment in your daily life? And this is a little bit more general than fun. It's not like technical activities. It's more of a general feeling of pleasure and satisfaction that you feel. Yes or no? When it comes to stimulation as well, do you feel like you are sufficiently stimulated mentally, physically, emotionally? Do you feel like you're constantly doing things that push you to be better, where you strive for better? Or do you feel like it's too monotonous and you're not really progressing, evolving as a person? And how about when it comes to self-worth? How do you feel about yourself? Do you feel confident in the person that you are, or not at all? Are you able to be compassionate with yourself or not? And then when it comes to purpose or meaning in your life, do you feel like you are living a life that fulfills you, a life where you have a greater goal, a greater purpose, a lot of meaning, or not. And this is not necessarily a comprehensive list. There are probably a bunch of other categories that can be added that you can think of for yourself as well. But in the categories where you scored the lowest, those are the ones that you need to really deep dive into and really try to find solutions, which we're gonna do now. So now it's time to create a plan to address these needs. I think it's really important that you take your own list and that you look through all the places where you scored pretty low and that you write out things that you could do in order to bring up that score. And I think that it's something that's personal. However, I am going to give you some general ideas in this video to help get you started. But again, the more work you do on this personally and the more you think it through with your own goals and your own ideas of what like success and a level 10 would look like, the better. So when it comes to stress relief, things to add into your life would be physical activity, any type of physical activity, specifically one that you actually enjoy doing. Meditation and breathing with like mindfulness techniques, deep breathing, creative expression as well. Doing calm, soothing things like taking warm baths while listening to calming music, or like putting on a nice face mask, or getting your nails done, just anything that feels like self-care to you. Journaling as well, writing down your thoughts, your worries, your frustrations. When it comes to happiness, this one is difficult because there's not like a one specific thing to do. However, I think it is really important to take the time to reflect on potential things that you can change that are within your control. So for instance, let's say that your job is making you unhappy. Is that something that you can change? If yes, focus on that. Do everything in your power to change your job. But if you can't change it, then that means it's out of your control. And instead of worrying about that, try to focus on the things you can add to your life to make you feel better and have more moments of happiness. Doing little things that bring you joy on a daily basis can also be very important. So I tell my clients this all the time: make a list of things that make you happy, that things that bring you joy, activities that feel good to you. Make that list, keep it somewhere easily accessible, and turn to that list whenever you feel like you need a little happiness boost, because sometimes we forget the things that bring us joy when we need to think of them in the moment. Having a gratitude journal or practicing gratitude can also be something that's helpful and can help you see the positive things that are in your life and how to expand on them and focus on them more. When it comes to fun and enjoyment, I would absolutely recommend that you make a list with all the things that you either currently like or that you think that you may like, but you just never take the time to do these things, like new hobbies, interests, passions. When it comes to relationships, if you feel like you already have potential good, meaningful relationships, but you just want to deepen them more, then focus on that. Try to see people that make you feel good as often as possible. Call them, just have any type of connection with them and really deepen that connection. And if you feel like you don't have any of these connections, or too little and you want more, then focus your attention on meeting new people. And you can do that by doing activities that you meet people in, activities that you enjoy doing, like maybe sports or things like that. And you can also do some volunteering for a cause that is important to you. When it comes to pleasure and self-care, you really need to be incorporating small pleasures, small things into your daily routine. I touched on this previously a little bit, but even if things seem very small, like just taking 5 minutes to listen to your favorite music, or taking 15 minutes to read a few pages of your current favorite book, or go on TikTok a little bit, or rewatch your favorite movie on the weekend, or get your hair done nicely, or get a facial at a place you love, or whatever it is. You need to find these things that bring you pleasure, and you need to do more of them. I say this all the time to my clients, but you can't pour from an empty cup. If you are not constantly putting in energy into your cup, if you're not constantly filling your own cup, then you will not be able to give to others. You will not be able to function optimally because you're going to be so drained. So spend some time and energy and money, whatever, into things that actually refill your cup, things that fuel you, so that you're not just drained all the time. And then when it comes to stimulation, make sure that you are learning new things, that you're stimulating your mind by engaging in fulfilling activities, and that you're building connections where you can have stimulating conversations with others. When it comes to self-worth, you really need to work on practicing self-compassion, celebrate your small victories, even your minor achievements, and just stop being so hard on yourself. Make sure to avoid negative self-talk, and instead you can do positive affirmations to feel better about yourself. To further your purpose and meaning in life, make sure that you engage in activities that you are aligned with and that make you feel good and proud, and where you're likely to meet like-minded individuals as well. And spend some time reflecting on your goals, making sure that they are aligned with what you want in the future, and also that they are achievable and that they're not just going to make you feel bad because you can't reach them. When it comes to boredom, you need to, again, work on that list of activities that you enjoy, of things that make you feel good. And if you still have a bunch of time, even after implementing these activities, then make sure that you expand your horizon and figure out new activities you love. Sign up for a cooking class, or like a chess class, or go to museums, or try a different sport, whatever you want to do. If you feel like you use food for a reward a lot, make sure that you find other things to reward yourself with. It can either be doing a fun activity or getting another type of material item that makes you feel good. It can also be doing something that feels like self-care to you, or you can even start like a reward jar where you put things inside it, and then you can do a bigger thing, like get plane tickets to go to a country you really want to go, or get concert tickets, or go to Disneyland, whatever. So again, I really encourage you to figure out your own solutions for this, but the idea is that you need to address the underlying issue, the root cause behind you turning to food. And the thing is that it's going to be a little bit hard at first, of course, because you have that pathway that is so ingrained in your brain. However, once you start using one or some of the other ways that I talked about to deal with emotions rather than food, then you're going to create new pathways. And the more you do that, the more you practice doing these other things instead of turning to food for comfort, then it's going to become easier and easier and easier to do. And then it's going to become your new automatic pathway. And finally, you need to be reflecting and adjusting. You constantly need to be writing down, or at least taking note of the different emotions that you're feeling and the different situations in which you are turning to food to meet other needs. And also, every time you try something new that isn't eating, reflecting on how that makes you feel, you're going to realize that maybe it's not going to bring you this instant gratification that food does. However, it's going to be a much longer lasting feeling. You can use multiple tools at the same time as well. For instance, let's say that you've had a very long, stressful workday. Instead of just lighting a candle, which probably won't do much, you can take a nice warm bath and then put on your favorite clothes, snuggle next to a loved one or a pet, and then put on your favorite movie, and then assess how that works for you, how that makes you feel. So over time, if you are addressing the root cause of the issue and also finding different techniques, testing different techniques to stop using food for comfort and instead use other things, and then reflecting on these things, seeing what works and what doesn't, and this practice will really help you fine-tune your responses so that you can stop turning to food to deal with any type of emotion. If you feel like you need help with this, which is understandable because it's a lot, I offer one-on-one consultations that are online. You can check that out in the description, and I also have a few different videos that can be helpful, so I'm gonna put them in the description as well. So I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like it and subscribe, and see you on my next one. Bye.